Okay, we'll call the meeting to order of the December 16, 2025 Nevada Classical Academy Oakville Regular Governing Board meeting. We'll start with roll call.
Lisa Becker.
Hank Thurston, President.
Dorothy Stevens, Secretary.
Nikki Nelson.
Tim Geary.
Oh, and on the TV, on the lake.
In Paris.
We have the man who you have. What's your name? Okay, so we'll stand for the pledge and Tim will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. Any public comment?
That's our third graders.
Where do you want us to stand?
Come right here and I'll get out of the way.
Where we need to stand?
Yeah.
Why are we standing?
Make sure you stand with the answer.
My legs will hurt.
This is
Any
your
moment.
audience, so face your audience.
Second row. Come over.
Right by 2 rows. Wait, here's, who's our second row?
Smaller.
Back row. Who's the back row?
Not me.
Okay, cool. Come back. So this will be our back row.
I'm the
Okay.
biggest.
Okay.
By the way, I'm the biggest.
Dominic. Voices are off.
Sorry.
So there's your front row and here's your back row. Right, perfect. Good job, you guys. Good work.
Oh, we're over here.
Okay.
All right, my students over here, go shift their body just a little bit this way so they can see you. Good job. Okay, Dominic, look at me. Are you ready? Jake. Ma'am? All right, are you ready? Hey.
His TV set, like down silver shine. I'll tell you the story of Jimmy Jack. You know what I tell you is true. He loved to watch his TV set almost as much as you. He watched all the time, he watched all night, till he could leave. From the early show to the late show, and all the shows in between. He watched till his eyes were frozen hard, and his blood flew into his hair. And his face turned into a tuning dial, and his eye grew out the tail. And his brain turned into pieces, and his face still a TV screen. Until now, tears have been. From love that looked like a tail, slowly plugged in the wheel. Now instead of him watching TV, we all sat around and watched him. Thank you.
How did you guys?
We studied.
How long? 6 months.
No. 3 weeks. 3 to 2 weeks. 2 weeks and a half.
2 weeks and a half. That is the fastest I've ever something memorizing that.
You won absolutely free.
One of those
And
cameras.
then you have to individually recite them to each class in front of everyone. So they work on public speaking skills while also working on the.
Can I be in the projector?
Presenters.
Listen to the question.
Yeah. They do a great job.
Good work, guys. And you know what? For 20 years, I was a school principal, and there was always 1 or 2 students who brought it alive. But I saw a lot of you guys bring it alive. You did the chin thing, the TV thing. That adds a lot of, I don't know, appeal, doesn't it? Yeah. So there's a lot of really animated characters in these.
Wait, where's Mrs. Paris?
This Paris is right.
She's on the computer today.
She
She's
can
here.
see you guys.
Yeah.
Probably.
She's here.
Hi, guys.
There she is. She heard you. She can hear you.
But Paris, you did some animation. They were doing all kinds of amazing things. It was very.
Well, they sound wonderful.
Miss Paris, if that is you,
It is me. Hi.
say
Hi.
Mars.
Hi.
See her in 2 days.
She'll be here on Thursday.
Yeah.
Wait, where are you right now?
I'm at my house.
Not her house, but she can plug
This
it back here. and
Say
see.
technology, great. All right,
Can everyone?
let's get in a straight line. Can you say thank you?
Nice work.
Thank you. But first, can I make a funny film?
Nope. Now love that. Dominic.
Good work, study hard.
Thank you.
How about the other one? What is that?
Now, Dominic, our boys are off. Go back to class.
When's that time?
Dominic, ask me your questions when we get back to class.
It's fine.
Dominic, I told you, ask me your questions when we get back to class.
You guys did great. Excellent work. Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you. Ready.
Yes, well done.
So I think Fernando's on too now.
You want me to?
Yes, I am.
Hey.
I am now.
Her too, right? So you have to watch that. Yeah, yes. Okay, so Fernando's with us as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was wonderful. And so now we're gonna move to number 4, approval of the minutes. So we'll need a motion to approve the October 21st, 2025 closed governing board meeting minutes. And then the November 18th, 2025 regular governing board minutes. Maybe one, if you do it together and.
I'll move that we approve of the October 21st minutes and the November 18th minutes for the governing board.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. Any comments? Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
I.
Hi.
Aye, okay, any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to number 5, financial. Review, A is review bank balances with the Elko Federal Credit Union for donations and student generated funds. This is you make. You need to go hook up and all.
Also, all right, with, Dr. Donald,
Oh, yeah, go for it. Oh, somebody else is here. Oh, Lynn Hoffman's joining.
Are you comfortable there?
No, you're fine if you're
Here, but I don't have a question.
I don't. Is there anything non-critical that is plugged in?
There's no USB on it.
Not, that's not plugged right now.
They're all used. Go figure. No. Well, what can we? No, not really.
All right, well,
Go. Can you email it to me real quick?
Yeah.
And I'll just pull it up. Since you have it on that, let's do that.
Is Cam gonna be logging in as well?
No, they didn't realize we had a board meeting. I guess Founders only does not have meetings in December and July, and they assumed we followed that pattern. So, yeah. You sent it? Okay. Let me.
Recommend.
Well, we would skip B in financial, so do you want to do your school leader report and then we'll come back to financial?
Sure.
Okay, so we will hold off on financial till he gets his paperwork established, and we'll move to school leader report with Franklin. That is
Okay.
someone.
It's under the school leader report tab. I think it's red for most of you. I'll just pull it up here. Okay, so December has been a fantastic month. So we'll just run through it. Fostering education, still reading Roots of American Order, which I still recommend, and I'm still looking for the books for you guys. And then we continue our classical education for the board and staff available on second Mondays, 4 to 4:30. And those, I have to say, those sessions are just increasing in richness as the staff has gotten used to Ben and Ben has gotten to know the staff and we're diving in. The conversation just gets more and more rich every time. And the staff is really starting to enjoy like investigating this thing called classical education. So that's exciting to see that. So we've had some staffing changes, or we're in the midst of staffing changes. China left last Friday to move to Texas. Heather Minterberry, our special education, is resigning for personal reasons. Her last day is on Friday. So I made the decision, instead of hiring full-time replacements, we are going to try a new model. And so we are bringing in these 5 part-time people. Plus, actually, I should add on here, well, I'll talk about that. So Charlotte who was standing in the back. I don't know if you noticed, she's going to be our 3rd grade PM aide coming in the afternoon. Brittany is going to be an afternoon floating aide. Walter Orr is going to be our recess and lunch duty aide, not AM. Stacy Singleton is going to be a morning floating aide, and Cynthia Gonzalez, who is our current front office person, we're expanding her role in the afternoon. She'll be a literacy aide that's specifically focused on Tier 3 support for some of our challenged readers. So we're going to try this and see how this works, because it gives us more people in the building and more flexibility than just bringing in 2 people. So we're going to try that. So far, these 4 people have already responded with all of their paperwork. Fingerprints are done, like rock solid. So super excited. We had a staff meeting at 12/12, our short day, our early out day, and we spent quite a bit of time reviewing our expectations of who we are as Nevada Classical and reviewing our employee dress code, because I'm noticing some of our expectations are not being met. And so trying to plant those seeds, and we come back, we're going to do what we call a January reset with the kids as well as with some of the employees. And so just really talking about who are we as Nevada Outdoor or Nevada Classical. I still do that, fall into that, Nevada Classical. We did receive the request for the attendance amendment. This is coming out of SPCSA because our enrollment is under the 10% plus or minus that we are granted under the charter. So I'll be working on that over the break. It's due in mid-January, or excuse me, we will have it on the January agenda. It's due to the SPCSA by March, so it will go on to their board and it would be approved at the March meeting. So it's a process. And so I'll be reaching out to some of you individually to talk and brainstorm how we want to adjust that amendment for the next 3 to 5 years. We can plan out our enrollment based on reality now that we're open, and we can request that amendment. And if we do it well, we won't have to request another amendment in 2 to 3 years. So we really want to be proactively thinking about how we want to request our enrollment changes. So we'll be working on that coming up. We have 78 current students. When China left, she took her 2 students, so we're to 78. So the magic number we're looking for is 12 right now. So that's to get back to 90. We did have an informal information request for a particular special education student that we responded to. And so again, we're just consistently trying to meet the needs of all of our students. And I found out from the state that I can request it, and I know the process of which to do. if we want to change our full day Fridays to half day Fridays beginning second semester. So I'm looking at the minutes and numbers and thinking if that's what we want to do, or do we want to hold steady to our current schedule? So that's a decision I need to make soon and then decide how to move forward with that. We did have our second meet and move on this past Friday. And again, just super dynamic stuff happening in the classroom with those children are in their ability group. So that's encouraging. Parent communication. We did have a group of parents stand up and entered us into and created a float for the Snowflake Festival. Did any of you see it? That attended the festival or the festival? So they were in the parade.
Can
Yeah.
Sorry. I walked in the parade with the float and it was great. We had tons of kids. We had lots of parents. It was our first show as a school community and we handed out 1,000 things with our logo. And the name, and it said that, you know, attendance is available, and we had parents who, you know, stapled little pieces of paper to 500 hot chocolate packets and taped things onto 500 other pieces of paper. So I think it was really value add to get our name and our logo out there and to show the kids having a great time, and they loved writing on the float, and people got to see that we are real and we have kids and we have community. Yeah, I think it was a really good effort.
Oh, that's great.
Nice work.
Good outreach.
Yeah. And totally parent driven. So that was super exciting. They got it done. Parent Academy number 2 was held, but only 5 families attended, but that was partly my fault because we forgot to send the flyer home. So,
I love and maybe I it was a small group, but it was really good. We had a really good conversation.
It was.
About a lot of things, how the kids are, like the different methods of learning and how you guys are teaching how Classical Academy education works. I get really passionate about, like, I want all the parents to come. I think it's so fun and it creates a community of us parents who want to support our kids. And it's really fun to see what they're learning. And we talked about that book, The Roots of American Order, and I ordered it.
Good.
So it is large, so we'll see if I have enough. But it was just really good to see, you know, a little bit of insight into the school.
Yes, thank you. We'll keep encouraging the parents.
Yes.
So to help prevent that low attendance, we went ahead and scheduled out all of the parent academies for 2026. So we sent that home in our friendly reminders, and then we'll send another one come January. So hopefully we'll get better at remembering to invite people to come. And so we have those scheduled. One is on math, one is on writing specifically, one is on history, one is on science, and then one is avoiding the summer slump. So there'll be 5 more parent academies in 2026 for parents. School handbooks continue to keep changes of what we're learning real time, relationships, nothing to report with the governing board, but for SPCSA, we do have a site evaluation. They're coming Thursday, January 29th, and we've been reaching out. These are all the groups that they will be speaking with that day. There's a whole schedule. It's a whole thing. Leadership focus group, that's like me and Renee. Faculty focus group, they randomly selected members of our faculty. Student focus group, it has to be 3rd grade and above, so it's 7 of our 3rd graders that were randomly selected. Family focus group, we've reached out to, there's about 15, I think, families that will be coming and representing families. Board focus group, I'll let you know who you are, again, randomly selected other than Tim, because they wanted somebody who had less than 1 year experience, so you naturally got that spot. The other 2 are randomly selected. It's less than 50% of the board. And then during this day, in between all of these focus groups, there are classroom observations that will all happen on that day. So we'll be prepared for that. We're working with SPCAA to get all that set up. Nothing to report from Hillsdale. Ben Payne did email and just say, hi, I'm thinking of you. So they are thinking of us. So that's good. Grand Canyon University, my internship hours with Joe DeBraga as the mentor will begin on January 8th. And if everything goes well, we'll have that done by May 13th. Budget is looking better. We're settling in. Still, we need to, raise money and such, but we were able to get a furniture lease for 12 months, and then with the fundraising that's happening, we're able to cover those payments and keep everything flowing quite nicely. So we're in as good as can be shape there. State testing requirements, we did get our English learners screened, and we're planning for the access. That's the test that each year the English learners take to confirm if they're still in the English learner program or if we can exit them. So that happens in January. So that's just another state testing that happens in the background of the school as it's running. Winter map will happen in winter. And then third grade's gearing up for SBAC, which will be I think it's the last week of April or the first, I can't remember what we decided, but we've scheduled that for our third grade class. So all those things are happening. We'll talk about fall map later in the agenda. So marketing, like I said, the big push, we need 12 students. That's like kind of the magic number we're working with right now to get us up to 90, an enrollment of 90. We've increased our social media presence. We signed up for 6 months of everything Elko articles, and under the article is a half-page advertisement that demonstrates the similarities and differences between us and EIAA. So it talks about school choice, and all of the articles, the half-page article above is very generic on school choice and why it's important and why we want it in Elko County. And then below it is the advertisement with both schools, and ours says no waiting list, theirs says waiting list. So we tried to contrast some of those key aspects. So that'll be running for the next 6 months starting in January. Continue to put flyers around. The intent to return forms have all returned, and all but 2 students are planning to come back. And we are investigating why those 2 students are not coming back. That's a question mark we have. So Registrar Renee is working on getting some information there, but that means 76 are coming back. So that's encouraging. And we already have 14 applications for 26-27. So that's all looking positive as can be. Discipline, we're really seeing a significant reduction in incidences since we've really, as a staff, become consistent on consequences, which of course is what you'd expect, but it's nice to see. And now we just have a few frequent flyers that we are just really working with. Nothing major like was happening. A lot of it's just interpersonal, learning how to get along, because being 5 is hard. It's hard to share. It's hard to handle your madness and your emotions. Like there's a lot of learning. I think as adults, we forget how much we've learned until you hang out with a 5-year-old and then you realize we have learned a lot. So that's encouraging. With regard to the facility, we do have 2 new sets of doors so that both side doors on this side of the building have been replaced, which is wonderful. They both were replaced with panic bar doors so that they can remain locked all the time and there's no accidental leaving it unlocked. So that's feels really good. And then we have a heater situation in room 111, particularly why it's cold in here. And Steve has been nothing but supportive, but it's something they continue to troubleshoot why they can't get it to work. So another call went out today, so hopefully that'll resolve itself.
Not Utah.
I know, that's super good. That's a win. So that's my report. Any questions or further clarifications?
Back on marketing,
Mhm.
I apologize for my situation. 6 weeks has been something else, but do we have an exit survey for anybody that may not be coming back or has said they are not coming back?
On the withdrawal, so on withdrawal forms, there's a reason we ask why, and then we don't have it on the intent to enroll form, and that's what Renee and I were just talking about. Like we should add that, like, why are you not coming back? So Renee's going to just call them and ask, why are you not coming back? And then we'll incorporate that for the next one. Yeah. And on that note, the people who have withdrawn, we've gotten some good feedback on things that we can think about. So it's helpful to have that, why are you leaving? It gives us some good data to chew on. So yeah, we'll add that to the intent to return as well.
And I'm wondering on the half
Are
full
you-
Friday, to shift to that, looking at that after school programming for the parents where that impacts them negatively. Having, you've got aides here that might be willing to
Yeah.
adjust hours and stay till 5 type thing, or the Boys and
Mhm.
Girls Club connection or something to the.
Yeah, so I just spoke to founders this morning and got more information on they call it their Centurions Club. And so same, we're thinking like, how can we fire this up sooner than later? So they gave us some
60
good,
staff and shooting hours.
yeah. Yep.
And one thing I told Brandon today, we've been looking at how to facilitate an after-school program for kids and how to get them from here to the Boys and Girls Club. So today Rex went and talked with the county about the Get My Ride thing, which Brandon said that she had reached out to early on, and they said, oh, well, we can't commit to that schedule, which really frosted Rex, which, so he went and talked to them, and they're gonna explore that. As far as seeing if they can come at a certain time and pick up children that want to go to Boys and Girls. So that, that's a real, it's out there. It's not a done deal, but it's in the process.
Thanks, Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we
She'll
can,
be here shortly.
if we can get it to work, it would be added value for sure.
I mean, for sure. Or at least seems like that's been one of the big complaints, right? Or
Yeah.
about after school programs, yeah.
A couple questions on here. Just from my knowledge, what is an informal information request for a special ed student?
So a parent sent a request for information to SPCA, a specific parent on a specific child, had some concerns. And so requested more information from us, but it was an informal request. It wasn't a formal request.
Is that anything we need to worry about?
No, I don't think so. Amy helped me with the response.
In my professional opinion, the NCA's gone above and beyond in every way, shape, and form. So I think it's just very typical,
Okay.
especially when you have parents that have brand new special ed students. Sometimes they just have some symptoms. So these guys responded beautifully.
We sent 91 pages of documentation back.
Making more than we wanted, but more is better. Yeah, it's pretty typical. We used to get a lot of those, especially the parents who've never been in that
Mhm.
special ed world, just asking questions. They're all good questions.
They were very fair questions.
Yeah, and it really helps strengthen what you guys already do.
It does,
Already.
yeah.
Like their logs were amazing. So I think you've done a great job.
And then regarding the amendment to the enrollment and our forecast there over the next few years. And this is probably a conversation to have later, but what are they looking for? I mean, is it in our best interest to just lowball it so that we?
That's such a great question. And so remember, the key is that we want our enrollment in our approved contract with SPCSA. We want it to be that we are within plus or minus 10% of that number. Because that affects funding and so many other things. So in our case, I don't think we lowball it. I think we base it on reality. So like next year, we don't, what I'm planning on doing, and again, I'm kind of working through this in my own mind and I've got my spreadsheets going. So we know who we have in the building now and we can increase by a little bit, and that would be next year, and we bump it up a little bit each time. So, but you guys as the board have to approve that, and I will send it out as soon as I get the draft. So that'll be a full agendized item on January meeting to talk about that. And then we can make any changes and then submit it. So yeah, it's a strategy game at this point. And what we what we want to try to avoid is that we have to do another amendment a second time. So the goal is that we strategize ourselves well so that we don't have to go back and do this process again in a year. So that's why we don't want to lowball it, because we want to also have confidence in ourselves that as good word is spoken about our school, more we're going to just keep increasing. But we just need to kind of base it on what we know. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
It's kind of a roundabout answer. But
I think we can.
so this will be the conversation, like based on our data and yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you guys will have a chance to look at all of it and we will decide as a group what we think is best to put forth.
So I just have a quick question about just the faculty attrition. So we've lost like 3 teachers since we opened, is that correct?
2 teachers and an aide.
And so, obviously China said she moved to Texas, so it's kind of hard to commute from Texas to see. So do we have any feedback from everything I've seen from the things, well, they're leaving for personal reasons. Do we have any other information on that?
I can talk to you offline. I'm not going to put it on a recorded line here. 100% I can say it's not if there has to be a fit between school culture, school ideals, school life, and the human. And if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. It's nothing to do with our school per se. It's the fit is not right.
That's fair enough.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And both are leaving in with good relations. It's just not a fit.
Right.
Yeah. Recognizing that.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's a new school and everybody's gonna have to get used to it, but I was just curious.
Yeah. And I think the new school, the chaos of the new school is a factor because this place some days is flat out crazy. I mean, we are, especially with such a small number of staff, with some high need kids, you have 1 or 2 out. Like November, we had some sickness go through. We had some days where we were doing 3 or 4 people's jobs in a day. And that's a lot. And if a human can't handle living in that kind of chaos, if that's not good for their mental state, then it's good for them to recognize that it's not a fit here because it's not necessarily going to get better anytime soon. Right. Anytime soon. So I really honor that they're saying like, this is not good for me. And we honor that. Yeah.
And it's not uncommon. I helped open 2 new schools and the attrition rates for both schools, the first year and second year, were abnormally high.
Well, any new business, you're gonna have a big attrition rate. I just wanted to ask that question, but I think it's valid.
It is a valid question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
100%.
also think it's an important thing for us as board members and parents to be able to communicate because people see this, right? They're like, why are you hiring?
Mm.
Being able to say, this is very normal for a new school. Getting
Yeah.
accepted, and the same with students coming in and going out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it helps us respond properly to the community and people ask you those questions, right?
Yep.
fair, totally. The other thing I didn't mention that I put on your binders was volunteers. So we have been blessed with fantastic volunteers this first semester. Unfortunately, all except for Kim are leaving in January. So we are back scrambling for music, PE, and there's specific times around there. So if you can fill, even if you can fill one of those, it's helpful. And if not, you pass it on to some of your people to try to fill those. Those are the specific needs that we need to start filling January 5th, if possible. And like I said, one person, what we have learned is one person does not have to do all of the art or all of the music. I didn't list out the music times. I probably should have, but it's in that time slot. If you have a music person, have them contact me. We rearranged our schedule specifically for music is why that looks like that on Tuesdays. But if you have somebody interested, let them have my number and then we can figure out a schedule. The good news is we do have flexibility. So if we have a human being willing, we can adjust our schedule.
And do any of these instructional aides have any of those skill sets?
Not that I know of. However, one of our new instructional aides, I just happened to see their email and they have the word piano in it. And so it makes me wonder. So I'm going to be asking that question.
For those of you needs, I mean, PE, you just have to have fortitude. Music, you have to, you know, like I
That
would,
would be still.
I was, yeah.
Well, you need to read music and stuff like that.
Yeah, or, yeah. Fortitude or something, yeah.
Yeah, they are specific, but like I said, oh, I cannot say enough. The Hatch family, the entire Hatch family was here today doing their bluegrass band concert for us, and it was phenomenal. So cute. Kim is doing fantastic, doing art. They're doing wonderful things. Charlie, Lisa, and Angela are a fantastic PE team. So much good things happening with those volunteers. We just have to replace them now because real life has happened for those families or those people. All right, anything else I can answer? Questions?
You don't anticipate the faculty turnover adversely affecting operations?
No, not at all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Hank, are you ready to bump back to 5?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, did you email it?
I did.
We'll go back to Hank's financial report A, review bank balances for Elko Federal Credit Union for donations and student generated funds accounts. But that's a mouthful. Glasses on so I can see both.
Okay.
Right.
A little sideways, but we'll.
So this is our cash basis of financial report for the month of November. And this is where we stand in our EFCU savings. We brought forward $223,393.
Oh, here, I can work on that. Hey, Rex, come on in. Oh, wrong. I don't mean to. Is that better? Is that more clear?
I think so.
We can turn the light down a little.
I think we should turn the lights down. Yeah.
Just think of the grass and our forest here.
Oh, hey, Rex, how are you? Yeah. Really good.
Help a little.
Yeah, board, can you kind of see that? All right.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to go back to my.
Then our EFCU savings, we brought forward 223,393. Our final balance in that account is 89,050. The reason for that is that we transferred 150,000 out of that account to fund operations. We also had about 15, little over 15,000 of deposits into that. So that leaves us with 89,000 in that account. Our EFCU checking, we brought forward 21,744. We ended with 21,744. We transferred that 150 through there, so you'll kind of see that 150,000 transfers all the way across, but that's really just a bookkeeping thing. Our NSB checking, we brought forward just shy of 24,000, and we ended with 134,430. That's largely because of that 150 that we put in there. We deposited a total of 237.92 into that account, and we took 126,609 out of that account. So that left us with 134. Our organizational checking, it's the school discretionary funds. We brought forward 8,253. We deposited 784, and we took 5,829 out of that for a final balance of 3,208 in that account. So our totals for the month of November, excuse me, we brought forward $277,340.22. We deposited 103,513, made a little bit of interest, and took 132,438.81 out for a final balance of 248,464 and 3 cents for a monthly loss of just shy of 29,000. Now, the 150 that just kind of transferred through those accounts, I took out of that because that's just internal movement. So this is only money that came in or came out of the organization, not internal transfers. So with that in mind, I figured as we approach the end of the year, it might be good to look at some trends, kind of see where things are going. So what we have here is a income and expense bar chart. See that income is in blue, expenses are in red, and profit is in green. Obviously, it's not a profitable year. We knew that coming into it. It's interesting because you can look at this chart and you can just, looking at that, you can see when school started. Right? You can see what happened. And you can see us ramping up in July to make that happen. So just looking at averages of things here, our average monthly income is a little bit over 48,000. Our average monthly expense is just shy of 64,000. That means our average monthly loss is about 15.5 thousand. But that's averaged out across all of this. What I think is interesting is the trends that we've seen in the last 3 months. Well, really since school started. So the month of August, the expenses are high. The income is also the highest we've seen. But if that income is a bit of an outlier, we look at the last 3 months, we see that income is monotonically increasing. So that's optimistic. I don't know if that'll continue, but it has for the last quarter at least. So that is optimistic. And then if we exclude November from this, we see the opposite trend in expenses. We see from August all the way through October, a monotonic decrease in our expenses. So hopefully this November expense is a bit of an outlier, and we'll continue to see some expenses come down or at least level off and revenue continue to come up. And I don't know, Brandon, if what you've seen from the operational side, if that makes sense.
That does make sense, and part of that November spike is being paid the lease, $33,000 in lease in November. So that happens, 4 times a year, we pay that 33,000.
Yeah, and if we took that out, we'd be right about even with October, I think, so that's good.
The big expense this month will be, you'll see a little bit of increase. We had to order second semester curriculum materials. So that's gonna bump up expenditures, but maybe $5,000 worth. Other than that, we're pretty steady at this point.
The consumables are about 5,000 for second semester?
No, these are not consumables. These are like all additional books.
Okay.
And some consumables, some math consumables, but mostly books. Curriculum books.
Those sustained for next year.
So yes, multi-year use items, yes.
Any other questions on our cash basis financial report? All right, thank you.
No questions for Hank? Done. So we'll move to, looks like we have no committee reports, no old business, so we'll go to 9 new business. And A, update on budget and operation plans, Brandon.
So I didn't prepare anything because nothing has really changed. We're pretty, like Hank is kind of just shown, we're pretty status quo on what we're doing with the budget, and I'm waiting to see the new student pupil that we'll be getting. We should get that estimate early January, and then that'll dictate what we do for the next 3 months. And so right now we're in good shape. Things have settled. With regard to the furniture and fixtures, we were able to negotiate a 12-month payment schedule. So I started paying those, and like with the donations between Nevada Gold Mines, a donation I'll let Lisa announce when it's her turn. Those donations are covering that expense. So we're steady right now. Does that make sense?
That will be able to get on that, like the Sarah Heritage Fund.
We are.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay,
You already received payment from that, right?
Yes, and I actually had a question because the first quarter we got like 5,000, and this quarter we got 100. So I didn't have a question. So I'm not sure what changed. We'll have to investigate that.
What happens is if people have a choice, they can give a one-time
Oh,
donation, or they can do it per pay period.
okay.
So probably what happened was the
First
one,
one's-
you got one
Some big one.
big donation.
Okay.
The 100 would be somebody is doing a recurring.
Yeah. So this quarter we received, I think it was $140.
so my question, well, one thing I brought up to Jennifer Jonas is typically the way it works is when you get new hires in, they get that in front of them, they can check off. But I said, what do you do with the regular employees, and they don't ever get a chance to really relook at it unless they initiate it? So I recommended to her that maybe I don't know how often, to make it manageable, you send something out to all employees. So they have a chance to look at, because if 5 years ago I was hired and I put in for Boys and Girls Club, but now I want to
Hmm.
take a look at all the new 501(c)(3)s that are out there
Mhm.
available that haven't been considered for a while. So I don't know if that's something you can push and help with.
The difference now is that they send a regular email reminder out to people and they mail stuff home, they put stuff in their newsletter. But they don't have a booklet that they make anymore that has all of them. Because there are so many, and the way that they built the Heritage Fund, they really you have to start by sort of nominating an organization and getting it into the list. So the best thing that we can do is talk to everybody who we know who works for Nevada Holdings and recommend that they make a donation. There's not a great mechanism for us to be able to, for them to be able to showcase us as one there.
I'm just saying it's passive because, you know, if
Yes.
you've worked there for 10 years, you're not gonna go out of your way just because, you know, you're
It is
busy and say, hey, I'd like to take a look at the new people.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to make it more active.
That's not how they built the program.
Okay. That makes it a little bit better.
It does.
Okay, so anything else under A, Brandon, we're talking on budget?
Not if there's not, unless there's questions. Next in January, I'll give another kind of full for the next 3 months, what the plan will be when we have that updated per pupil funding.
Let's move to B, review fall map growth assessment data. Do we have? Or Kelly and Rex, do you have an extra copy?
Up on top of that case, there should be an extra copy.
Yeah.
And you might want to turn the lights on just so you can see your written copy better. Less important probably to see it because the screen, you're not going to be able to see it anyway. Yeah, I think that's good. So this is just per your request to see where the school tested for the first data point that we have. It's important to keep in mind this is one data point, it's one snapshot in time, but it does give us and our teachers some information from which they can work to design their instructional strategies. So first we'll talk about math and then we'll go through reading. And you have copies of this so you can study it a little more on your own. So school-wide, this is the achievement overview for math. 70 percentile all grades, and then it breaks it down into the red, orange, yellow, green, and blue are different percentile bands. And this was for 84 students when we tested them at the end of September. So and again, this is high level snapshot information. Then if you take that data and you disaggregate it a little bit into by grade, we have 2 kindergarten classes that are for math ranking at 72nd and 65th percentile, first grade, second grade, and third grade. And again, you can kind of just see how these bands are shifting within the grade levels. Nothing unexpected, very typical, I would say. Nothing really exciting at this point. And again, this is one data point and it's just a snapshot in where we are starting. This is second grade, or excuse me, this is kindergarten, what we call kindergarten 2, which is Harris's class. So she had 16 students tested. This is what's nice about the map, if you're not familiar. So it breaks it down into these instructional areas. So no, you're fine. So the questions are grouped into these 4 instructional areas: geometry, measurement and data, number and operations, and operational and algebraic thinking. And these instructional areas carry through kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, so that the teachers are able to see over time, we'll be able to see how individual students are moving through these different instructional areas. And these are the instructional areas that drive our meet and move groups. So we are working on these particular things inside our meet and move groups. So this is informing us, what group do we need to start with? What group do we need to work on? What area? So that's one kindergarten class. Now this is what's super interesting and why children and education is so much fun, is because, for instance, this is the graph, this is by student. So these underneath these blue boxes are student names, and this is what we call their RIT score. And so you can see, like in this instructional area of geometry, we have this lovely, pretty bell-shapy curve, and you can think, oh, I know which student is in which area. Now notice this student here with the star, this student is performing, I would argue, at the lower end of the curve for geometry. But if we look at another instructional area, operations and algebraic thinking, he or she is performing at the highest level. So that's the beauty of education. Nothing is constant. And now look at this beautiful bimodal funky curve thing we have going on with the class. And so this is why being a teacher is incredibly challenging, because you're constantly having to adjust your instruction and your strategies, because one kid does not stay the same in everything. And then the truth is, if we tested these kids today, this could look completely different because it's Tuesday instead of Wednesday. And it's cold outside instead of warm outside. So I only broke this down for one because I didn't figure you wanted to stay here the next 6 hours looking at data. But I did want you to understand the diversity of what's happening inside any one of these classrooms, these snapshots. So this is the second kindergarten class, 13 students tested. And if I'm going too fast or you have questions, just ask me. We could nerd out on this all day if you wanted to. Kindergarten compared. So I thought this is just interesting. We have very different kindergarten classes, very different student population, very different behavioral populations. And it kind of comes out, some of that comes out in just the test results. So this is not surprising that the two classes are different. First grade, here's first grade, same, like I said, the same instructional areas. Again, nothing surprising, nothing very typical. This would be second grade and third grade. So again, the teachers use this, and the teachers, like I said, we can nerd out on this as much as you wanted to. You can come to my office someday. And the teachers are diving into this, trying to understand how to best serve these students. So that's math. Any questions or further comments? Amy, Tim, you guys are also experts in this sort of thing. Anything to add based on your expertise?
I talked with Amy earlier about it. One of the things that we always worked on the MAPS testing was time on test to correlate that to possible inaccuracies potentially, and to emphasize taking their time to work on it and not rush through it. It can really skew these results. Like that star student that you showed on there, one of the lower groups in one and the higher group in the other. Did she speed through the one?
Right.
Really took the time on this one?
Right.
So that was one correlation that I wanted to share as being a very important thing to look at. If you can look at that number, almost down to each student, time on the test. And that goes across math and reading.
Yep. We, the teachers have looked into that. We, generally speaking, like they also flag if it was a high guess rate, and we didn't have any super obvious flags that were like, ooh, we need, like, that was not an accurate. All of them were within that range of what you would expect. So that's encouraging. But we also kind of talk to them ahead of time. Like, we really want to know what you know. So slow down and do well. Like, this is important that we are curious. What do you know? We try to approach it. We really want to set the culture for assessment in this school that it's an opportunity for you to show us what you know, not, oh, we have to do another test.
And
right.
That was another thing you can come with the years of taking the test. Look at your lower grades where they've only been exposed to a very limited.
Yes.
And they're giving it to all. And as they get older, that test time normally will begin to come down, which you don't want to see.
Yes.
You want the test time to be static across the board. If you can get that with that culture, that should help with that situation.
Yeah. Yep. Any other thoughts? Amy, do you want to share anything?
Mathematically, snapshot wise, I think this is fantastic first time data. That's excellent.
Opening school.
Yeah, with everything and the change in staff and everything else, this is really impressive data. So, great work. Yeah. Because I was concerned about that kindergarten with that teacher not getting any of the beginning of the year training, you know what I mean? They're just walking in and it's such an intense curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, mathematically, this is good, and math tends to be the lower one.
Yeah.
Because it has a heavy reading, there's a lot of reading in that. So the reading is, which is typically kids struggle with the reading, and the math's even harder, and they're actually looking pretty good.
I have a question related to that, just because I've never seen the actual testing for kindergartners who can't read.
It reads to them. K1 and 2, they have a reading option of verbalization.
So if they can read, they can read it themselves if they're at that level, and if they aren't, then, and they're all getting the same thing that they're hearing.
Yep.
And yeah, we learned, like Tim said, to not make it where when they're done, they can go back to class, they can go to recess, they can do anything that's even remotely more engaging
Should
than.
be an uncomfortable situation, like, oh, I'm done, why is it working?
Yeah. I don't want to be done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't wanna be the first one.
Yes. So reading, similar, they look the same, but they're different because they're assessing reading. So just if you look like up here, is where you see what you're looking at, reading or math. So reading is we are functioning a little bit lower holistically.
More typical.
Yep. Very typical right now. So again, just flipping quickly through, this is Harris's kindergarten class. And Kelly's kindergarten class. And this is telling, this is super important. See here, we have 42% read in foundational skills. That's telling us that everything else is probably impacted by that. And that's a big group. And like I said, we have dynamically different kindergarten classes. They were randomly selected, but sometimes it's interesting how random works out. Sometimes it feels not so random.
And this is good feedback for teachers now. I feel like the vocabulary and the foundational skills, there's not even any green under vocabulary for Kelly, so that's like that's information for the teacher that I need to shift.
Yes.
Literally new, that makes it harder, but this is mostly for teachers.
Yes.
What areas do I need to bolster?
Yep. So this here is the two compared again. And like Amy saying, just high level looking at greens and the colors and where they're coming in. Hedrick, this is fascinating to me. This is an interesting data group right here with his class, because especially as I get to know their class, but there's a few, and you have to remember in a small class, like this is 1 or 2 children, right? Like that's driving some of this. So we know this, and like I said, hence why we're bringing Cynthia in the afternoon starting in January to do some real intense literacy work with these individuals who are driving some of this red and orange. These are 1 or 2 kids that we need to work with. Ward, 2nd grade. This surprises me based on what I know about her class. Makes me think some of them can do a whole lot more than they act like they can do. So we will continue to shape some behaviors in that class. There's some learned helplessness that I think we need to overcome. And then 3rd grade. And you'll notice the difference in 3rd grade here is the foundational skills falls off in the instructional area. So by 3rd grade, the expectation is those foundational skills are being met and we're into functional reading. Which is why it's so important, K1, 2, that we nail the reading, that we get all of our kids reading, because by 3rd grade, reading is so important. If you can't read, school becomes very, very, very difficult. For no other reason that you can't read, not that you're not capable. It's a skill thing, if that makes sense.
And the neat thing about math is it's designed for growth. So when Hendrick goes back in late January or February, whenever you do that winter test, it measures how much they've grown. It's really neat to look at that.
Yeah, so in the future, it'll be fun because we can look at individual kids and look how they're growing, and we can celebrate that. And then we can see kids that aren't growing, and we can ask as the educational staff, why are these kids not growing? Like, obviously what we're doing is not meeting the need. How do we change that? What does that need to look like? On a pause, I have to tell you something that happened in morning meeting kind of related to this on a high level. We have a child, here who comes up to me at morning meeting and says, Dr. Thorne, I have to sing a song. I said, okay, what are you going to sing about? He says, I have to sing about our mascot. By the way, I didn't even announce that we have a mascot. I'm so busy with everything else. So he comes in, and this boy is a wonderful child, but challenging on some levels. He gets up in front of this whole school and sings a song that he wrote about how our mascot has been picked. And this kid has an angelic voice. And he hits a high note, the whole room was silent, and we were all like, what did we just witness? Amazingness is what we witnessed. And he announces with this beautiful angelic high voice, and we are the Lions. We're the Lions, by the way, NCAE Lions. Why that's so important is because I have seen this child in my office multiple times, and I know that this child is struggling in academics, yet he created a song. It had a beat, it had a rhythm. We had him sing it a second time so we could video it, so we can use it on our social media. And it was the same song the second time. So it's not him just randomly singing, like he has created something amazing. So when I look at this data and I'm thinking about children like this, going back to when we see children not moving, that gives us a clue. They are like atypical learners, right? Possibly. Anyway, like I said, the room was silent and we were all, I think, kind of like, what just happened here? Like, pretty cool. So anyway.
And that's important to know that math measures reading and math. Okay? But there are 8 intelligences. And school does a wonderful job telling mathematical and linguistic students how amazing they are, how non-amazing they are. But there are kinesthetic learners, there are spatial learners, there are musical learners, there's all these other intelligent naturalists. People that are doing so many other things that aren't identified, and so we have to be careful to make sure we don't.
That sounds like
Yes.
an excellent topic for a school choice article.
Yes, we can do
Yes.
that.
And I have
Yeah.
a lot of great information.
Yeah, it's so true. We're so complex. Humans are so fantastically complex. So to wrap this up, how this data is used, immediately we've used it to create our meet and move groups. And so that's what we're doing on those meet and move Fridays is we use this data to glump and clump kids based on what we're doing in those classrooms. It's a baseline for students. It's our very first data point for our school. And so that's a great place for us to start. It also helps drive intervention groups inside the classroom. So teachers are also doing daily intervention inside of their classrooms. So that helps drive that. And then it gives us some insights for big gaps that we need to work on, like Amy caught on the kindergarten. Like it helps you kind of see like, oh, there's a gap we could spend some effort towards. But what it's most important is to remember that this is one data point and it's just the beginning of this educational journey for these lovely human beings. But it does help us see something that we can't necessarily see in our day-to-day interactions with them. And then next assessments, we'll do winter map, we'll do spring map, and that's really where we can see some growth. And then the 3rd grade, like I said, we'll do that smarter balance test, which is the state mandated 3rd grade test. And our 3rd grade teacher is on top of it and already prepping our children for that experience as well. So any questions on our first assessment report?
Nope.
Yeah, congratulations to all the staff. First year, to me, it looks very good.
Awesome. Well, we've got a great group of kids. We have amazing kids that are making our staff look good.
So maybe the board members with more experience in education and life, but it doesn't look that good to me. There's a lot of red. One that's in the percentile.
Let's go back to it.
Well, statistically, it can't be, right? If it's really a percentile, not everybody can be.
This is a national test, so this is compared against all students in the nation that take the WA MAP test. And typically you would see a bell curve. You'll always have a bell curve, right? So.
Well,
It's a nationally based test, so you can't not have a bell curve.
well, no, and in fact,
I
I have a problem with the naive assumption that it's a bell curve without if there were a reason to believe it's a bell curve, but that's.
Yeah, because they'll just move the mean, you know what I mean? If enough people,
It's all based on standard deviations from the norm.
so that if the norm shifted, during COVID, the norm shifted, correct? Because everybody was working on computers or doing whatever they were doing and fear and everything else, so it all bumped, and so then they just stay nice.
It's not necessarily a bell curve for us. But nationally speaking, because of the numbers, it's a bell curve. Does that make sense?
Well, I
Standard
understand,
deviations.
I understand what you're saying, and this is kind of maybe missing the point, but I disagree that there's an a priori reason to believe it has to be a bell curve.
Oh, it doesn't have to be.
Ours will never be,
Yeah.
ideally, we'll always be skewed to the right.
We want them skewed to the right.
Right, no, I understand that,
Above the bell.
Right.
So if you look at kindergarten here, it's geometry, because that's the kind, or you just look at the school-wide one on page,
Their slide number.
slide number 3, thank you. You look at that and we have we're way above the bell.
70%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's our overall solid math data, and that's fantastic looking. Now, if you go to the reading, it's, slide 14, we are very typical, we're very typical. We look like an average school. Now, you can find schools that are gonna be red all the way to 50%, and we've seen them, you know what I mean, where 50% of the kids are in the lowest percentile.
Mhm.
And then you've got schools that are super high achieving, where 50% of the kids are green and blue. Or, you know, like 80% of the kids those are high achieving schools, so our reading, we would say we're very typical.
We're right
Because
in the middle
we're
of,
right, no, we're 54%, we're right, you know.
slightly
Well,
above.
not necessarily our goal, right?
No,
No.
not at all. No.
Well,
We prefer to have 70-80%.
Yes.
That's level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got, it's the beginning.
But if you're looking at brand new school with brand new staff.
Curriculum.
And brand new curriculum
Implementation.
and
yes.
implementation, to be above 50 right now, I think is a major accomplishment. We see schools that have had staffs for a longer period of time, been kind of doing the same thing over and over again, that are excited if they get above 30%.
Yeah, you even pulled up all of Elko County schools.
Yeah.
This is better than most. Probably,
Better than the majority. Yeah.
there might be 1 or 2 elementary schools higher. Even right there at the 50%. Now our math, I bet we're one of the.
I bet you were one of the highest in the.
Elko County. But reading is it's typical looking, but most Elko County schools are
We're
not
starting good.
performing it. Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have
That's a great question, Dan.
Yeah.
For those of us who have not.
Yeah.
No, because I'm just
It's
confident.
it looks very like, oh, bland. Very built great. Yeah.
No, these are great. And this is what we have to, as a whole board and school year, we all have to get very comfortable with this data and understand what it's saying.
Teachers can pull down right to the student and even to the concepts.
Mhm.
Under, let's say, like Mars would say, what's going on with operations and algebraic thinking? Because my kids were doing fantastic. And yet 1/3 of them are struggling with operations and algebraic thinking. What's going on? And you'll look and go, oh, really, you can be able to identify and twist your instruction a little bit
Mhm.
to hit what they're looking for.
So for Hank and the rest of you that are less familiar, like in the data report in the NWEA website that the teachers have access to, like these have, like I was saying, student names, you can click on that student and it gives you a whole nother more information on that particular, the questions and how they're answering and some of that. So this is just super high level. There's more that you can drill into as a teacher.
And the fun part comes after the winter test. Then you'll go, okay, these kids all made either average growth or above average growth, and then these pockets of kids are not thriving. They're not performing well. Then you start your interventions. Then your interventions have teeth to them, because you know which ones, even though they might be in the red, they may have come in even lower, like they
Right.
have nothing at home, they did nothing at home with their families. But they are actually making growth, and you'll get to see that. That even though they might still be at the lowest level, they're making better than average growth. And then the ones that aren't making any growth, then we start getting really focused on interventions. What's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at some of these, it's pretty impressive, really.
School-wide, we're above the average. In both subjects.
Yeah.
Which if you think about, well, do we want to just be a little bit above average? Well, that's a good starting point
Yeah. It's good
and a
baseline.
great place to grow from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at going, oh, maybe we were all at the 34th percentile, thinking, oh boy, we are not cutting it.
Yeah, which would be expected because of what's been happening. Like parents don't read with their kids like they used to. These kids are on computers a lot. They're watching cartoons. They all know how to, I can give this to my grandkids and they can fix anything.
Truth.
And we didn't start the school to be average.
Right, yeah.
Truth.
And then the teacher, we lost a teacher and have all these curriculum issues where they didn't get all of that fantastic training. So there's been a ton of change and yet you still have pretty, I was actually pleasantly
It's
surprised.
a solid starting point.
Yeah, it really is, baseline.
Good.
But good question.
Great question.
I could show you some more stories on some of these schools. Okay, now I have to go back and find my
All right.
agenda. Let's go. All right. So anything else on the review all map growth assessment data? This is baseline assessment data. Okay, excellent. We'll move to C, discuss governing board expansion to 9-member board. This is going to be mostly basic.
Is it?
Ah,
I came prepared.
Good.
I brought this up at the last meeting because I think just given how much we have coming up, how much we have going on, different fundraising requirements and looking at, as we grow, looking at the enrollment and looking at adding grades and staff and everything else that's going on. I think that this board could be served by having 2 additional board members if there are good candidates for those board seats. And so what we have in our bylaws says that we're starting with 7 board members. And so I just thought that if we could vote to say either up to 9 board members to change that so that it's up to 9 board members or 7 to 9 board members or something like that, then we'd be able to add those board members if we find interested and capable folks who can commit to being at the meetings and being part of this board, rather than finding somebody and then having to take several months to change the bylaws and then be able to vote on the person. It doesn't have to be 9. I know we talked about, keeping it at an odd number, but also just as people's lives change, if people roll off the board, then we don't suddenly go down to 5 board members and then be scrambling to add people at the last minute. So I think it would be worthwhile to vote to change the board membership to 7 to 9 members. So that then we don't have to vote to change that again later. And then start to talk about who those board members might be. And really do a board assessment to see what gaps we have on the board and what would be beneficial to add with everything that this board is responsible for going forward.
So our charter application said up to 9, that's basically allowed up to
Yes.
9, but our bylaws we did just
Yes.
set. So we would have to make a motion to change the bylaws to allow for 9.
Yes.
Because everything else allows for 9 except our bylaws.
Yes. And we are also currently in the process of updating our bylaws right now and our board policies and procedures manual. So this would be a good time to do it because of feedback that we got from the SPCSA. They have required updates that we have to make that have nothing to do with the number of board members, just several other things throughout the bylaws. So those are with our legal counsel right now and they are working on that, which makes this a really good time to open it up so that we could add more.
Can we just make a motion to the effect that we follow the language that's already in place from this, that's there?
I think so.
Instead of having a set limit,
We allow for
think-
9.
I think. we're
allow
on-
up to 9,
Yeah,
just to have that consistent language across the board. I think that's just smart.
I think the language is it must have at least 5 and maybe up to 9 is what the requirement is within the SBC.
So that's what you want, that
That's
to have
all right.
at least 5 and up to 9 board members.
That is absolutely fine. Yeah.
I'll make that motion to match that language with the SBSC.
If I get speak in public comment.
Sure.
Well, let's do a motion in a second and then we'll do comments. So do we have a second to that?
So I'm not sure that I understand Tim's motion. Motion for what?
So the language matches, our bylaws match the language, the 5 to 9. We don't have a set specific number.
That gives us the flexibility. We match the charter authorities.
Language with our bylaw.
No less than 5, no more than 9. That's what it is. Okay, do we have a second so we can then open it up for discussion?
I second. Oh,
Hey, Kim, because she is on a delay, she would have beat you. Okay, all right, we have a motion second, so let's entertain comments.
Yeah, I would just caution about getting too big, because the more people you have, the harder it is to come to consensus on anything. If you're lacking some expertise that you need 2 more board members on, then, you know, you need to do it. It's hard enough to get 5 or 7 to agree, but when you get to 9, it just muddles the water.
Well, it would still be a board decision to add another board member anyways, even though the language is there. So the board would still have control over that, would be my understanding.
I think our concern when we originally were talking about it is we have so much on our plates because we don't have that whole district office support and
No,
all of this stuff. So we need to have fundraising, then we need to have this. We need to look at a new school down the road.
and that's why I caution that
Yeah.
if you need more help,
Yeah.
then you need to do it.
Yeah,
And I can completely understand that.
yeah. It has to be the right.
When it comes down to decision making, that gets difficult.
Mhm.
Well, to go along with that, it would be helpful if we just, for our own benefit, to seek applicants. So we had kind of a pool to draw from if the situation should arise where we need somebody. Or we can look at the applicants that might be there for expertise they may have or somebody may not have. That would be something we could work on, not necessarily just saying, no, we're going to 9 members. We have this area. We've got 3 people that have expressed interest in being on the board. But look, candidate number 3 here has this expertise in this area. It's the time to add that board member.
Yeah, I agree with him. That might be how you want to advertise it. We need somebody that can help us with fundraising. We need somebody that help us some other aspect, but.
Well, and that was in our minutes from last meeting, right, you guys? I mean, we thought, we said at the last meeting, we need somebody specifically that can help with the fundraising. And I brought to the table that, and I still believe that, we need people in our business community on this board. I mean, we need that kind of expertise to help. But so, I mean, I think that Rex makes a good point, and Jim, you know, I think everybody feels the same way. I don't think we just go drag somebody off the street.
Right.
I think we really be just really discretionary and look for the right people, because otherwise we're gonna make ourselves miserable.
Yeah, we don't have that 9, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, we're good with 7.
So how do you advertise the position, and how do you elect another board member?
My thought would be that we as a board go and look for those people
I think we need to do that.
within ourselves.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't-
not gonna be an open app.
And
Yeah.
one thing I've seen in my county, sometimes you advertise a position and you have not the ideal applicant, but it might be the only applicant.
Yeah.
So
That certainly
there are
happens in
different
this area.
positions you say, well, pass.
Because we don't have to have 9.
Right, exactly, just because there's only one person applied for whatever expertise you wanted.
But so I think what we're
Retirement.
what's on the table right now is the motion that we just change our bylaws to match the SPCSA by
I can't.
language, so that if we wanna move to 9 board members, we can.
Yes.
Is that the right?
Yeah, that's.
Doesn't commit us to anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there members of the board who have other people in mind, or people who have spoken to, who could actually fill the 2 spots?
I don't know who's really right offhand.
There's your one I've spoken to.
Lisa, that was your
Sorry,
bill.
I'm not leaving. I have to give this to Abby and that's her end of school bell. Her recital is what I have to leave for at 5 o'clock, so.
Oh,
I will-
fine.
Right,
Alright,
So there's one I've been speaking to, who is also a parent here, but they, he's.
okay.
At least get that's one of those situations like just getting the paperwork started, they're interested. And that need arises, or we see that need, then they're ready to go.
Yeah,
Or we have a life happen situation. I almost thought I was gonna have one of those this last month, and I'm sorry, but I have to resign kind of thing. If you have that backup, at least the conversation started, some paperwork started. So there is no gap of board members or that.
The other thing I'd add is that we don't necessarily have to have the expertise on the board, we can have committees, we can drop people in. So it's not like,
We've already done finance.
yeah, so it's not like we're in a situation where we're lacking something, we need to staff together.
Right.
Yeah, I think all we're doing here is giving ourselves that. Yes. And, you know, I don't think we need to go too much farther than that.
That's the motion, just the language.
and if I could just add, a lot of the feedback that came from SPCSA on the other bylaws updates that we have to make is related to us putting the actual text from NRS into the bylaws. Perfect. Which is beyond belief, but, so I think that would align very well, and we can also put a little bit of other information there about, you know, when considering new board members, make sure that, you know, we're filling a gap. So
Yeah,
we can
it
add
aligns
another
with
sentence with that if.
Well, and that's what's unique about the charter authority versus your regular public school, non-charter, is anybody, they don't care if you have expertise in a typical board where they're very specific about who they want on our boards.
Yes,
So it does help to have that, you know.
but since we're opening up the bylaws anyway, and hopefully
Yeah,
going
let's
to
do
get
it.
them approved by SPCSA, it makes sense to do this at the same time.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Okay, didn't hear any opposed. Any opposed? Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, I like that it's done right now. So let's go to D, update on fundraising and classroom sponsorship. We are back to Lisa. She's very prepared. She's like. what
Very
is this?
prepared, very prepared. All right. So I know that several folks on the board have been undertaking reaching out to, different potential donors, and I appreciate that very much. We have the updated, this is so cool. Sorry, this makes me so happy. We have the updated, case statement with our own student pictures. This is not Shutterstock borrowed from other schools anymore. So this is excellent news. So if you are still reaching out to donors and want to sit down and have a conversation with them, we have several of these. Please, everybody take a couple so that we can really make that case with our case statement and show them what we have going on. We have confirmed that the first grade classroom is sponsored. Gallagher Ford generously sponsored that classroom, and we already have the check, which is wonderful, and we are
That's on-
so appreciative.
That's on top of their.
Yep.
Well, man.
Yes,
In
they
addition
agreed,
to-
so, we're gonna be doing signage outside the classrooms for each of these sponsorships. We have also confirmed sponsorship of the second grade classroom, which is, thank you, Lynn Hoffman, for your generous sponsorship of the second grade classroom, so.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, man.
We have 2 classroom sponsorships, and thanks to Brandolin setting us up with the payment plan for the furniture. We're covered for the next couple of months, I think, with that, for those payments, which buys us a little more time to continue to work on this classroom sponsorship piece. So,
And next year we'll have the fourth grade, so if somebody
Yes.
wants to be on the cutting edge of a
Yes.
brand new class.
And I think we already included that.
Mhm,
We
it's on the
already
paper,
included that in
yep.
the paper, so somebody can select that. And we're waiting to hear back from several inquiries. Have you heard anything? We're keep working on that.
I prepared. I'm here, I was gonna speak in public on that, but I think now is. In the fundraising might be a good time to do it, but. You know, when we first started this effort. The Charter School Association said we had to come up with $400,000. I mean, that was monumental. And, you know, Lisa and her husband Joe and Dorothy and I hosted the first prospective donors to supper. And to our shock, they said, "We'll give you half of that." And we go, you know, I think we all stared at each other in disbelief.
I think we tried, Rex.
Like, hug.
Are you kidding us? No, we'll give you half of that. And then Dorothy and I went to visit a relative. And again, we're expecting, you know, 10, 15, whatever. And we told him what we were doing, and he said, "I'll give you the other half."
Gee, well,
And I go, "Are you kidding me?" So in 2 visits, we had our $400,000. I mean, that was just blowing us away. And both of our early donors asked to remain anonymous because everybody was really sensitive about being overwhelmed by requests for donations. And but since then, my relative that we asked for a second donation has died. So the family said I can now announce who that was, and it was my uncle Jim Gregory, who's my mother's brother, that gave us that second 200,000. And on top of that, before he died, he called me and said, you know, "I'd like to include your school in my will." But within days of that, he was whisked out to a hospital in Utah and subsequently died of all his illness. He was a very sick man. And so then we went from week to week to month to month. And go, well, did he have time to actually get that done? And finally we couldn't stand it. Because 6 months or so ago, I called his son. I go, "Did he include us in his will?" And he said, "Yes, he did." And you know, again, we never announced his name, but the family wants us to keep it in this room because they're still fearful of being pestered too hardly. But he has given us $400,000 in his will. So.
Wow.
That check to Hank. So that brings his contribution to this school to $600,000.
Hmm.
We're hoping that, and the families agreed that they'd like to honor his name honor his memory with a name to something within the school. So that's up to you, your board.
Great Hall.
To make that decision, but what we'd really like is, you know, we think we're beginning on a very humble beginning right here. And I hope we do great things in the future. Hope you carry Uncle Jim's name in the future too. That's it.
Hopefully, guys.
Oh, wow. We wouldn't be here without that, without that.
We wouldn't.
Oh.
No. We wouldn't be here. No, those were huge. Yeah, Lisa's right, and well, Bruce donated, and he said, oh, we'll give you half of that. She done about fell off the stairs.
But we stared at
Yeah.
him. We just sat there and stared at him and go, what did he just say?
Yeah. That's, okay,
Wow.
let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you for bringing that.
Thank your family. I don't know.
Good.
Probably not. For you.
As a new board member, there's no words to
No.
say.
And what, 30 years, 60 years in education, both of us never had nothing like that.
Anything like that.
We did the happy dance with $1,000 check, you know, so that's.
Well, that's what we were
So
expecting.
generous.
That's-
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000 a
$100
Yeah.
donation for some books in the
What a
library.
legacy, though. It's a wonderful legacy.
Wow.
When the arbitrator, I guess what the lawyer came to give the check to the school, she said, I don't know anything about this place, but it must be pretty special.
Wow. Yeah.
Cause even I think she was like, this is not a common event that a school gets this sort of
But wasn't
donation.
another story too, on top of all that, is we reported to the charter school authority that we had the pledges, let's go forward, and they go, those are pledges. We need money. When Dorothy went to Uncle Jim and said, they don't believe you, and he said, well, here's a check.
Oh,
Amazing. Hmm.
Okay, thank you. Yes. I'll get him to send the bank.
Brings on us.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
on our agenda for the next board meeting to officially name Great Hall after that benefactor.
Do you have to agendize that, or do you guys have a system in place where you just?
And my discussion with the family is like it's low key, because we
Yeah.
want to make a big check, have a picture of the paper, and go, no.
Then you start getting it up.
Yeah.
No, so
I think it's an operational thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just that you've got that form, it's the same thing as gallery.
But I think we need a thank you to the family for sure. Yes. Maybe
Oh,
we can get like a little school, the kids, I don't know if you have a shot yet of all the kids in the.
We don't have all the kids, but we could create one.
The lowest one.
Yeah, that'd
Something
be
neat,
fun.
a little thank you.
We should just create a template, maybe where they hold up something that says thank you, and then you
Yes.
can put the logo or the name in.
And it's
underneath.
special,
And we
because
said,
like you
yeah.
said, it's that.
But you can kind of see why we were also kind of pushing towards having Gregory insurance through the insurance for the school.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was just kind of that little bit of a,
Yeah, wow.
600 grand's a lot of money.
So you guys were in shock when they said half, so I'm still in shock right now, so you just gotta. Wow.
like I said, I intended that for public comment, but
Oh, it fits right here.
but
That's more of a fun. That's the
It's
great
great
all
for-
sponsorship. Yes, that's wonderful.
Done.
Thank
Such
you
good
very
news.
much.
Thank
Wow.
you, Rex, for facilitating that.
Yeah,
Because that's a big part of what you did.
Mhm.
thanks for being related to solid people.
Yeah.
I think you got a really.
Almost like that.
Anything else under D, update on fundraising and classroom sponsorship?
I'm just in shock.
I
I know. Wow.
Speechless.
Speechless,
Yeah.
so, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll have to do something neat for that family.
Yes, I actually do have one more thing.
Okay.
Which is, I talked to Fallon at Kinross and, they have a form that we need to fill out to request funding. And she just sent it to me.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to fill that out, if you want to take care of that, or if you want to get help from somebody on the board to ask for it. It's up to you.
Why don't you send it to me and then I'll look at it and then we'll go from there.
Okay, we need to get it done in December.
Okay.
It's not really lengthy, it's a one pager.
Okay.
Because or early January, I'm not sure when their January meeting is, but they're meeting in January to look at requests, and I think they only meet quarterly. So I think we should request for that January meeting.
Include me on it too. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, anything else under D, update on fundraising and classroom sponsorship? This was my favorite agenda item today.
There we go.
Third grades.
That's to celebrate them. Your own place, okay.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to 10, public comment. Any public comment? Ready on that? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to board member reflection, number 11. So if any board members have any reflection, Hank?
So I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, but it hits a lot different when I'm holding close to $500,000 here.
Yeah.
This community has been remarkably generous to us. And I think as a board, we just all need to reflect on that and recognize the duty we have to our community succeed. To make sure that we steward this money well, make sure we develop our students well.
Mm-hmm.
And Madam Chair, I probably should make this. One. We're getting on over.
No, you're not.
So I just, under public comment, I just wanted to say how impressed I am with the transition that we made from the founding board, a bunch of idealists that didn't know what the hell we were doing. And now we have this board. I mean, I was just been so impressed sitting here listening to you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a really good mix.
Yeah,
Right.
Lisa and I can stop crying a little bit.
We were a rag tag bunch with Dorothy and I and you and my sons, and let's start a new school. And then we recruited Lisa's dad and Lisa.
Yeah.
Amy was one of the original ones that went up to Treasure Valley with us. I mean, it's amazing that we've done that.
Well, and my reflection is connected to that. It would have been, but I took my husband and he hated school. He dropped out of school. He's a junior. He's always been a little bit naughty. He ended up getting, doing quite well as a corporate executive by the end of his reign, but he went up to Treasure Valley and he said, whatever this is, I'm behind it. I actually don't want to leave school. And yeah, he hated school. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And what I really love is when I walked up and they were outside, the little third graders outside playing and they have their uniforms on. And remember, we talked about they're gonna have uniforms and they're gonna walk out of the school and go to the grocery store and they're gonna go to their recitals and they're gonna be representing our, classical academy all over Elko County. It's so neat when I see those kids.
They're all sold.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And I want to add that Brandolyn, and the staff, I'm already crying. Why did you do this, Brandolyn?
Lisa.
The way that they handled this mascot project
Tell us about
is
it.
brilliant. Do you want me to tell you?
Sure. I would like to hear your story. I want to hear how you interpret it. Yes.
Being in the school and
Yeah.
taking care of the child. They had a sheet, a one pager where all the students got to nominate whatever they wanted the mascot to be, and they had to draw a picture and they had to write a little bit about it. And then from there, they got to a smaller.
106. We had 106 applications.
With only 84 students, that's
Yes.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So, okay, go on. Yes, 106. Yeah, 106 to 10.
And so from the very beginning, this was a culture, community building thing that they started with the kids. Started with 106, then they drilled down to 10. And then at the 10, they had sort of a mock-up of what this might look like as
And who picked
actual-
the 10? Tell them who picked the 10.
The students.
A
right?
committee. We created a school mascot
Yes.
committee and they came in on Veterans Day, right? It was
Yes.
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
They came on Veterans
Yeah.
Day and they whittled it from 106 to 10. So it was all student driven.
A student committee, which Abby was on.
K3 student committee, mind you.
That's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but they did it.
And
That's
so
a whole
they
school.
drilled it down to 10. And then those 10, they sort of redid and mocked up, like, here's another example of what this would look like in reality. And then they had the students vote again and drilled it down to 3. And then with the top 3, they did a little more in-depth, you know, sort of like, this is what these would be. And so there were the 3 options, and then they voted again. And I am personally very excited that it's a lion. I think it represents the school and the school ideals really well, and I feel like it connects. There were also, in the initial recommendations, there were several different sorts of fierce cats.
There were.
And I think all of those sort of got whittled down into the lion. But it was a wonderful experience for my daughter to participate in. It was fun. I came in and helped count ballots and stuff, and it was fun to hear the kids talk about it and to see the illustration and to have them talk about why the different mascots represented the school and the virtues of the students. And I really think that we need to buy like a big lion or something.
Totally agree.
Buy
I want to be the
something
mascot.
for the kids
A
that
live
can
one?
be here.
That's what one student was.
Yeah, think about it, damn one.
Something like really exciting for the kids to really connect with as we go
Yes.
forward. But it was so well thought out and planned, and I think it really did great for the student.
And so kudos to Renee Denny, our registrar. She was the leader of that process. And the next step is the artist will actually be coming on Thursday to work with the student, Renee and I, to create. So one more voting round will create a couple different options of what our lion looks like. And then the students will ultimately vote on the final lion. So it's all student driven. What's that?
Can I help with that?
Yeah.
Just like a branding and stuff.
Yeah. So Thursday at 1.
Yeah.
Thursday, it's either 1 or 2. Stop by my office and we'll look at my calendar. But yes, so kudos, Renee Denny did a fantastic job. And our morning meeting, we used that morning meeting time to drive. That's how we did this as a school, is we took advantage of our morning meetings Renee led the process.
I bet you had some good laughs on some of the nominations.
Oh, there are some goods. There were some good ones. And I think, again, to emphasize, we're a K-3 school, so we're doing this with kindergarten through 3rd graders, which is very, very different if we were doing it with 4th, 5th, 6th graders, right? Just the conversation with kindergartners, to Amy's point, like fantastic imaginations, like that is brilliant. How did you even get there? Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, so fun. So fun. Yep, so we are the lions.
And I'm also gonna give kudos to I believe, Rex and Dorothy, I don't think you want to tell me the committee that interviewed.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was remiss in that. mentioned.
No.
Complimented the board. That our school leader though. And then what, that was a national search we conducted.
Yeah, you found her here.
Lisa's dad, Lee was on the board, and Joe. Right.
Yes, wonderful.
And it was a fight.
It was,
You
you
know,
guys held it
yeah.
down, and that she's open for it, because you want it.
It's an honor to be
For
here.
bringing that up, I was kicking myself, I didn't mention that.
It's an honor to be here, and I 100% agree with what Hank said. Is there's a humbling moment when you hold that much money and know the belief that comes with that and the responsibility, right? To whom much is granted, much is expected. It's a heavy load as the school leader. It's a phenomenally humbling position to know the work we have to honor the people who stand behind us. 100%.
Well said.
Yes, excellent. Any other reflection, Kim? Do you have any?
No,
Doing good.
I do not. I'm speechless.
Yes, okay, confirmation of next board meeting.
Oh, January.
Got that January 29 deal, so we don't want to mess around with that.
January 20th. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, today's the 16th. No, I was like, that doesn't. 1:20 at 2.
And Fernando, I believe.
I should be there.
We are looking forward to that. We miss you.
Thank you. Miss you guys too.
Okay, so Luciano's is calling if we can. Move to adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All right. Or you can meet it, but we'll take it. 3:47.